Welcome to the Bard's Tale Diaries, a series where we relive the Bard's Tale on the Commodore 64 the way it was meant to be played, mapping dungeons, jotting down clues, and making plenty of questionable decisions. As I work my way towards defeating Mangar, I'll dip into the game's rich history and take time to appreciate the graphics, systems, and design choices that help make it such an iconic classic. Let's recap. We're in Skara Brae and we're getting good. Ulrich the Monk, Sturm the Paladin, Ozzy the Warrior, Iolo the Bard, and Gandalf the Conjurer are all at level 10, and Raistlin, our Sorcerer, he's at level 7. We've just finished exploring the second level of the sewers and learned the passcode for our next dungeon, the Catacombs under the Temple of the Mad God. But before we head there, we still have the entire third level of the sewers to explore, which means new monsters, new traps, and probably several more terrible decisions. And as it turns out, the monsters weren't the only thing I needed to worry about this session. Alright, the game's loaded now. Let's head back into those sewers. Well, here we are, back in the sewers. For the first dungeon in the game, it's a big one. I've spent over 12 hours down here so far, first in the wine cellar and then in the sewers themselves, and I still have the entire third level left to explore. The biggest issue thus far has been spell points. They disappear way faster than I'd like, which is a bit of a pain because it takes 15 or 20 minutes to get down to the third level and another 15 or 20 to get myself back up to Skara Brae. But this is the Bard's Tale grind. And at least there's a lot of new monsters to keep things interesting. Ogres, statues, ninjas, and wights are just a few of the new baddies on level 3, and they're tough. Ogres and statues hit like trucks, ninjas attack incredibly quickly, and wights? Well, wights just suck. Luckily, that hasn't been an issue yet, but it will be. Thankfully, Iolo the Bard has very high dexterity, so he's usually able to blast any group of wights with his fire horn before they can do any damage. Actually, let's talk about bards for a minute. I wasn't using Iolo in combat very often, and running out of spell points is a constant issue. So I figured I could improve my party by ditching him and adding a third magic user. I wasn't completely sure though, so I asked you guys for help. And you responded overwhelmingly in favor of keeping him. Apparently, I've been seriously underestimating bards. For starters, and I had no idea about this, bard songs can stack. For example, playing Traveler's Tune every round continues lowering the party's armor class throughout the entire fight. He can also heal the party every round with Bod or Kilnfest. It's only 2 hit points at a time, but over a long fight, that adds up quickly and saves a ton of spell points. And then there's our old friend the Firehorn. He's the only one that can use it, and it's absurdly powerful. But the really crazy part? These abilities are about to become unlimited. As soon as I find a bard sword or a lax lyre, he'll be able to sing indefinitely. Honestly, I didn't know a lot of this, and now the bard looks a lot less like a placeholder and more like a superhero. And really, it's the Bard's Tale, not the Conjurer's Tale. The more I thought about it, playing without a bard somehow just feels wrong. One commenter even suggested that using a third magic user can make the game too easy. We'll see how I feel about that later. The organization of this level is kind of crazy, especially considering that it's supposed to be sewers. So far it looks more like a cubicle farm at an office. Maybe this is where all the beasties down here get their work done. I also haven't run across much atmosphere yet. No hints, clues, or anything else particularly interesting. But one thing I have run into? Mithril.
Mithril.
Lots of mithril. This is fantastic. Not only can I use it to upgrade my characters, but it also sells for a ton at Garth's. And speaking of Garth's, it's time to head back to Skara Brae. I'm low on spell points and overloaded with new equipment. Remember that time when wandering around Skara Brae was dangerous? Yeah, not anymore. A group of 8 kobolds attacked me when I reached the surface, and I absolutely obliterated them. I mean, seriously, what does 54 damage even do to a creature with only 6 hit points? At least it's over quickly. No suffering here. I'm pretty sure all that's left behind is a kobold smudge on the cobblestone. But being up top isn't just about turning weak creatures into paste. I need to heal up, level up, and sell all my loot at Garth's. Hi Garth. And then it's off to the Adventurers Guild to end the session for the day and save the party. Huh. Well, this isn't good. I poured myself a cold drink, sat down to continue the adventure, and this is happening. The character disk isn't loading, and when I inspect it more closely, one of the files is obviously corrupted. I honestly don't know what happened. The only thing I can think of is that I shut the computer off too quickly after saving the characters. But regardless of the cause, the result is the same. I can't access the party. Fortunately, the Bard's Tale includes a set of disk utilities. Maybe I can copy the corrupted disk to a fresh one and recover things from there. Nope. It's actually quite a good copy program. The corrupted file copied perfectly along with everything else. Somewhere, Fast Hackham is nodding approvingly. Which is not encouraging. But maybe I'm not completely doomed after all. I originally started playing the Bard's Tale before I got my Commodore 64 Ultimate, and it turns out that's a very good thing. My emulator, Vice, allows save states, and every once in a while I create one. I didn't save one during my last session, but I did save one a couple sessions earlier. And let me tell you, it was a huge relief seeing these guys again, even if they were 2 levels weaker. I just need to get them back to the Adventurers Guild and hopefully save them onto a clean character disk. Which took me 20 minutes to create. Okay, now let's try saving them to the new character disk. That doesn't seem right. Normally this process takes much longer. Okay, fingers crossed. And yeah, it didn't save the characters to the new disk. But I feel like I'm close. I'm now wondering if the game really cares about anything beyond the character names themselves. So I'll create placeholder characters with the same names, races, and classes, just in case that matters. And now I'm basically hoping the Bard's Tale only overwrites the character data attached to the names. And let's try saving them again. Well, this is definitely taking longer, which I'm cautiously interpreting as a good sign. Oh, and we have victory. Holy crap, that was stressful. I didn't realize how attached I'd become to these guys. I lost a level or 2 of progress, but I'll take that trade any day over losing the entire campaign. And this really was gaming in 1985. Nowadays, games constantly autosave, sync to the cloud, and often let you roll back to earlier saves whenever you want. But back then, none of that existed. A corrupted disk was about the worst thing you could imagine. Oh man, that was scary. And the entire process took over 2 hours to solve. But my slightly less powerful party is back. But don't worry, I'm pretty sure I can still take on a group of kobolds. And more importantly, all of my dungeon mapping is still valid. I don't need to re-explore huge sections of the sewers, and I'm not too worried about regaining the lost experience. This place hands out XP like candy. Man, Ozzy is getting the tar beat out of him down here. He was withered by a magician, and here I was worried about wights. And as a weakened old man, he's suddenly become an easy target. As much as I don't want to, I'm going to have to leave the dungeon after just a few minutes. which was at least partially rewarding because I was able to get Raceland back up to a level 6 sorcerer, adding another point of dexterity, which is probably my favorite stat. High dexterity means attacking earlier each round, and having a magic user go first is incredibly useful. There's nothing quite like wiping out an entire group of enemies before they even get a chance to move. We also ran into a couple of new enemies, Bladesmen and Goblin Lords. Both hit hard, but fortunately they go down pretty easy too. And cool, I found a light wand. That'll help save some spell points while exploring. But even more interesting, I found a long set of stairs, which I think means they lead all the way back to Skara Brae. And if that's true, exploring the rest of this level is about to become a lot easier. And sweet, I'm in Skara Brae. This is great. Or not. The stairs emerge on Knight Archer Street, which puts me behind the gates of Mangar's fortress, which I can't get into yet. It's a one-way exit. Oh well, at least this will save some time whenever I need to leave the dungeon. I also decided to fight one of the Ogre Lord statues and beat it pretty easily, which is also good to know. While I'm back in town, it's time for my usual routine. Ross goes for spell points, Garth to unload loot, hi Garth, and the review board for new levels. And this time, a few of the characters had enough experience to reach level 10. Again. Raceland also reacquired his 4th level sorcerer spells, which means I can cast Wind Warrior. I hate spending spell points summoning help while inside a dungeon, but while we're safely in Skara Brae, no problem. And honestly, we can use all the help we can get. Which brings us to our In Memoriam section. A trip into the dungeon simply isn't complete without a few helpful creatures volunteering for immediate and fatal service. So far this session, we've picked up a few brave and foolish souls. None lasted more than a fight or two, but all will be remembered dearly. Thanks for your service, boys. I've been making great progress and I'm almost finished exploring the sewers. We discovered an inscription on the wall, which makes absolutely no sense to me. And why is snare even capitalized? And if that wasn't cryptic enough, how about this one? Sure. But even cooler than these bits of lore, I found both a bard sword and lax lyre, which means YOLO can now use unlimited bard songs. I'm becoming happier and happier that I kept them. And way less cool, I found my first spin trap. These things are the absolute worst. They suck more than whites. One in a room is manageable, but we all know what's coming. It's been 40 years and these traps still trigger me. And hey, that's it for the sewers. Seriously, what an adventure. Between the technical disaster and all the mapping, it's taken me close to 20 hours to explore the first 4 dungeon levels, and we're still just getting started. It's time to heal up, level up, and recharge before heading to the Catacombs beneath the Temple of the Mad God. And fortunately, Raceland leveled up again before the journey below and now has access to 5th level sorcerer spells, which means Mangar's Mind Blade. And this spell, ladies and gentlemen, is a complete game changer. Most group spell effects only target a single enemy group at a time. Mind Blade can hit every enemy group you're facing for up to 40 damage. That is massive, especially considering things are about to get much more serious in the Catacombs. Earlier in the sewers, we encountered a magic mouth that gave us the information we needed to enter the Catacombs. Approaching the priests, we speak the word. They were alarmed that I said it so loudly, but they led us into the dungeons below, which are interesting to say the least. Miles of twisting tunnels with bones jutting out of the ground. Fun! And already, the fights down here feel different. Most of the monsters are still familiar, but the game suddenly has no problem throwing enormous groups at us. Fortunately, Mind Blade works like a charm, and when that's not on the menu, YOLO's Firehorn is perfect for clearing out rooms packed with 9 whites. Seriously, 9 whites. Ooh, and ghouls, nice. I love how the Bard Tale slowly introduces new enemies. We're still seeing plenty of familiar faces, but just enough new monsters are sprinkled in to give each dungeon level its own personality, and keep things challenging. And speaking of challenging, how about this? Smoke, come on. It's hard enough seeing what's going on down here without smoke getting in our eyes. I even left the dungeon and came back, hoping it would clear up. But no. Apparently this won't go away until I save the game and return fresh. So for now, every step has to be mapped 1 square at a time. Okay, well this is new. 28 zombies. Firehorn, here we go. Seriously, having a bard with high dexterity is incredible. YOLO attacked first and the zombies never even had a chance. I can't even imagine how bad it smells in here right now. And now here's another room with 11 whites. I really feel like the game is signaling that things are about to get much tougher, which is just fine with me. We're powerful, well equipped, and honestly, I feel like we're exactly where we should be. Next time, we'll continue exploring the catacombs and figure out where we need to go next. And hopefully, we can do that without any further disk corruptions. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the 5th episode of the Bard's Tale Diaries. If you did, please consider leaving a like or subscribing. And if you have any memories or helpful tips for the Bard's Tale, I'm all ears. Please drop them in the comments. Hope to see you again.